Our next presenting company is Transdermal Specialties. Transdermal Specialties is a pioneer in ultrasonic technology, which has superior applications in drug delivery, particularly in the treatment of diabetes and in a cosmetic device called the U-Wand, which is already on the market. The company has recently completed its 12th and 13th clinical trials of the non-invasive trans-insulin patch. The speaker will be Bruce Redding, President and CEO.
Good evening, everyone. Hope you don't mind, but I got a lady who dropped a piece of luggage in the airplane on my knee. I hate when that happens, so I've got to sit down. Okay. I'm sure everybody in here knows someone who has diabetes. If you're a diabetic, you take a needle, a pump, or you take oral medicine like metformin if you're a type 2 diabetic. And none of them really solve the diabetic problem. What we do is we make a transdermal patch that delivers insulin. Did I do this right? How do I dance? Yeah, that works. Okay, instead of a needle or a pump, we have a totally non-invasive patch. I mean a patch, it is just that. It has no needles. It delivers insulin day and night for type 1 or type 2 diabetics. And as of here we go. Oh, not bad.
Oh my God, I'm putting my feet up, I'm going to watch the Sons of Anarchy because...
I think there's something playing in the background.
I mean? Yeah, I can hear that too. Anyway, while they're figuring this stuff out, guys, I have the only patch in the world that actually works. We are 2 clinical trials away from the FDA. We just got approved for our next clinical trial yesterday. So in roughly about a year and a half, this product could be on the market. Okay? Which means everybody who makes a pump is going to hate our guts. Okay, our patch contains 150 units of insulin. This is standard insulin that you buy at the drugstore from Eli Lilly or Sanofi or whoever. The actual device delivers ultrasound to the patch and liberates the insulin into your pores, actually opens your pores up and pushes insulin into your bloodstream. That's how it works. Let's see if I can do this again. Nope. Okay. How it works is a little bit of physics. We use a combination of ultrasound, square wave, sawtooth wave. And what that does is open your pores temporarily. It makes the hole larger. Right now, there are only about 20 drugs that are in a patch out of nearly 4,000 medications available. What we're really doing, besides just delivering insulin, is enlarging the number of drugs you can deliver with a patch. Okay? My background, and we have some of our key people, we have, by the way, we have 3 facilities. 2 are in Charlotte making the actual patch and the device. The actual electronics is made here in New Jersey. And then right outside Philadelphia is our clinical research lab. I'm the guy who invented much of the original technology. My first job out of college, I was a mission specialist on a space shuttle, but I didn't get a chance to fly. I have 7 military patents. I can tell you about one of them, and I don't get paid any royalties on the others. Okay. My background, I developed products for ConAgra and DuPont. If you guys buy Hamburger Helper, I'm sure you do. Beef stroganoff flavor, I invented that for ConAgra. How about fruit roll-ups? Anybody have little kids who like fruit roll-ups? All right. I invented the encapsulated flavor that goes into the taffy. All right. Now, gee, I never thought that General Mills would make any money on that. They make $500 million a year on fruit roll-ups, and I get royalties out of that. Okay. We have a very large support team, people who are specialists in diabetes and drug delivery. Some right over here in Jersey at Rutgers University. We're loaded with patents. We've been a patent factory for the first 5 years. We have 11 patents on the U-strip device, 8 on the U-wand, 3 on something called Delta Seed, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that a little bit later. So we have a lot of patents. On our clinical trial program, we're down to just 2 clinical trials left before we head to the FDA. We have one more trial that starts in July, and then the big 500-patient trial will start sometime next year. Right after that, off to the FDA. This is one of my fun images. It's what I call the money shot. If you look on the far right, the red curve is a curve of glucose reduction by a pump. The green is by the patch. If you take metformin, if you're a type 2 diabetic, those oral meds lose their potency after 3 hours. The patch continues to bring you down and level you off. So we're more effective than most medication. We just finished a clinical trial in February. Remember all those snowstorms? We drove to Raleigh in one of those snowstorms. That was a lot of fun. Okay. I'm going to give you what I call the wow statements. Wow, we're the only transdermal patch that delivers insulin in the world. We beat out all the big pharmaceutical companies. We have the only one clinically tested. We have the only patch in the world that delivers large drugs. Most drugs, like a nicotine patch, a birth control patch, they're below 500 molecular weight. Insulin 6,000. The largest we've done is 75,000. The largest we think we can do is 125,000. That's 95% of all drugs on the market. Okay. Some other wow stuff. Much to our surprise, we were 3 to 4 times faster than any other system for delivering of insulin. We actually dropped the people's glucose in 5 minutes, where normal injection would take an hour. So we were much faster than we thought. We were so fast that doctors want to use it for clinical testing in hospitals for people who are in diabetic comas as a way of bringing them down to normal range. So we're working on that next. We also bring you down, but we don't bring you down too far. And we're able to defeat your meal. Most diabetics have to figure out what meal they're going to have. They go in the bathroom, they inject themselves about 20 minutes ahead. Most people don't remember to do that. So once they inject themselves after the meal, it usually doesn't do any good. Our system defeated mealtime glucose spikes. It was effective post-meal. That surprised us. The other thing is that the doctors told us something which we really didn't expect. Most diabetics, if you take an insulin injection, only 15% of what you put in the needle is actually absorbed. We have about 88%. Most of the insulin you take is only absorbed by your torso. That's why you can still be a diabetic taking injection and still have nerve pain in your toes or lose a leg. More than likely, you won't see that with the patch. It circulates better throughout the system. And the last thing that we found out, which was kind of a surprise, is we save your pancreas. If you're a diabetic, your pancreas is damaged. If you're a type 1, your pancreas isn't putting out any insulin. If you're type 2, you're putting out some, but not enough. Because we're putting insulin in the body, the pancreas can relax. So you don't get all the other diseases like pancreatitis or worse, pancreatic cancer. Okay? In essence, we did pretty good. Now, what do we want to do when we grow up? Number one, we are talking to potential strategic partners among insulin producers. In fact, we have a big show in Boston in about 3 weeks where we'll be introducing this patch to the world. On top of that, we are also developing clinical programs with the centers you see there. And we're also, if we went to market on our own, among just those 4 centers, if we got to 50,000 customers, we would be a billion-dollar enterprise. Okay? Funding history. I always like this slide because people always want to know how much skin in the game we have. It's about 5.6 million about a month and a half ago. Don't tell my wife because she doesn't know. Okay. Operating fund target for this year, we're trying to raise $9 million. Part of it is to get through the next clinical trials and get ready for battle with the FDA. We also are looking for strategic partner funding to make sure we have battle cash and a battle team for a good strategic alliance. If we had to go to market on our own, we would need about $30 million to bring this product to market using super clinics, clinics that have 10, 15,000 patients in one clinic. Einstein Medical Center, 20,000 patients who are diabetic. So we go to those clinics, set up a kiosk, and that's how we market the product. Okay. Anyway, that was my award-winning presentation. So if anybody has any questions.
Thank you, Bruce. I have a question for you. What are the drugs benefit from a U-strip application?
We are now working on an arthritis drug, cancer drugs, cardiac medication like low molecular weight heparin, anything that is chronic. You wouldn't use the patch technology for something like a vaccine where you would just use one injection, but anything that was chronic. And we have 175 drugs that we're targeting on our list. Actually doing the research with the Philadelphia College of Pharmacy.
And another question, what are the advantages of the U-strip pump and traditional needles?
For one thing, this system is totally non-invasive. There's no penetration of the skin. We were a little bit surprised. We thought our market was needle relief, no more needles. But most diabetics are more worried about diabetes and treating the disease. We are now more effective than a pump and a needle. We're faster, and we're faster than most diabetes medications out there. So understand this technology is just getting started. We have a lot of legs to this. The other product you heard called the Yuan is being used for cosmetics. It pushes skincare compounds right under the skin. And I told you about something called Delta Seed. You guys get a kick out of this. We treat seeds with this version of ultrasound, and the seeds grow in half the time into full crops. Tomatoes, instead of 80 days, grow in 35. No genetic engineering. You can sort of imagine where that could lead. So we have a very large research group running on that program as well, but U-strip insulin is number one on the runway.
We're open for the question.
I have two questions. So first of all, you did mention that while an injection would only give you the equivalent of about 12% of active insulin, and it's not well distributed in the body, whereas your transdermal patch gives 88.5% and is also much better distribution. How do you explain those differences?
Under the skin, if you give yourself an injection, the insulin forms a pool under your skin, under your dermis. It is from that pool that it eventually leaches down slowly into your bloodstream, whereas the ultrasound pushes the insulin directly into the bloodstream. It's almost like a slow form of IV injection. So it's going in faster and therefore having a more effective result.
So are you saying that it not only opens your pores, but it also opens the walls of your veins?
No, it just simply deposits them to your blood vessels faster than a pooling form of needle or catheter from a pump.
Okay, and for how long do the pores remain more open? Is it only while you're applying the frequency?
The ultrasound is in two parts. There's a sawtooth wave and a square wave instead of the old physics sine wave.
Yeah.
Okay? What we happen, the sawtooth wave dilates your pores, actually doubles the size in as little as 10 seconds. When the ultrasound is turned off, your pores close right back to where they were in as little as half an hour. Now, the square wave is the ramming force. If I have more square wave, I can deliver the drug further, deeper into the tissue. It's a timing circuit. Okay?
Interesting.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Oh, by the way, if you want to see more about this, we have a little room down the way, and we have brochures, and they actually have the device down there.
What valuation are you giving yourself when you're raising $9 million?
Right now, the valuation is about 35 million basis. Up until the next clinical trial, then we're going to be worth a couple $100 million. Free money.
What if one of your local New Jersey drug companies just scoop it up as for shits and giggles for $35 million instead of?
We wouldn't sell it to them for 35 million. We'll let a few private investors in at that price. But we're going after the tier one guys, Lilly, Sanofi Advantage, which is now the #1 insulin producer in the world. Our starting talk is $50 million for a license fee. We supply the blank patch. They pay us a royalty when they sell it. We supply the electronics. So it's a hybrid license deal. We're not selling a company for 35 million.
And has that been successful? Have they been willing to talk to you about it yet?
We have been working with one of the big tier guys. We actually designed the clinical trials with their staff. So the main thing that we needed to do was the next clinical trial was prove that we could miniaturize the system. And they have not seen the miniaturized patch. It's that thin. They'll see that in 3 weeks at the Diabetes Summit in Boston. Negotiations start there.
Thank you, Bruce. well.
I'm sorry. Do you have time? There is a company called Dexcom that makes a continuous glucose meter that measures your glucose every 5 minutes. That device sends a radio signal to our controller, and our controller can do what's called a closed loop, deliver, sense and deliver. Unfortunately, the FDA didn't like that idea because a lot of those glucose sensors are not 100% perfected yet. We built in the capability for the device. By the way, the device records everything it delivers to the patient for 60 days, dials up the doctor, and runs off a report. So they know if your prescription is working. Yes, we call it the sonic applicator controller. It's now about the size of an iPod. Right. Well, you set the device according to how much insulin you need, and it will automatically deliver it. Okay? And if you had a meal, you can just press the button, it's called the bolus button. It'll deliver a counterbalance to what you just had. All that spaghetti gets leveled out.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone.